I'm going to start recording here. Perfect. Well, hello, everybody. It's nice to have you all here. I have some friends here. I have Clint and Ashley. Clint is from the Go SoIN team, and Ashley is from Visit Cumberland Valley. We are going to go over how they turned their print passes or their printed trails into digital passes. So the strategies behind that and why they did it. So if you have any questions while we go through this, please feel free to put them in the chat and Q&A. I will be going through those while they present, and we can get to those after their slides. But again, we're happy to answer any questions that arise there. So Ashley is going to go first. She's going to introduce the beer trail that they have, a very successful beer trail that is now a Bandwango passport. So we are going to get into that first. Ashley, take it away.
All right. Hello, I'm Ashley Kurtz. I am the marketing manager with Cumberland Area Economic Development Corporation. We're a little different in that we are an economic development corporation and a tourism bureau. We are located in Pennsylvania, and my main function is really tourism marketing. I do some economic development too, but product development is really where my passion and focus has been, including our beer trail. So we started our free beer trail in 2017, and we literally had no idea just how popular it was going to be. We actually had an intern put a lot of the information together, and if we really knew where it was going, I think we would have really been surprised. So our first passport had a total of 15 locations, and all of them were not breweries. Some of them were restaurants or bars with really great selections because we weren't sure that we had enough to really make a trail. We felt like we needed to have double digits. We wanted to have really good coverage of the county that we represented. So we filled in the spots and the gaps with breweries, with non-brewery locations. And we'll talk about that a little bit later and how that ended up. Our most current trail that's out right now had 30. Unfortunately, we did have one that had to close their doors due to some unforeseen circumstances, but you can tell by that we've more than doubled in just a few years. Breweries in Pennsylvania are absolutely exploding, so we got on at a really good time. So right here, you can see we've had 6 different printed passports. These were all of the passport covers. You'll see some of them kind of look the same. We'll talk about that later too. The way that our passport was set up is it was an accordion fold that had all the locations, and then that back fold was a tear-off postcard. So whenever you went to a beer trail location, you would get a sticker from one of the bartenders, put it on your postcard, and then mail it to us or take a picture and email it to us. We had these passports at every participating location, some of our hotels, our visitor center, and you could also download it from our website, which not many people did for obvious reasons. I think pre-pandemic, no one had a printer anymore. The check-ins were all collected via stickers that they could get from the different locations. And then, like I said, they could either mail them or email them back to us. And although this trail was really successful, we did have a lot of pain points. First was the print process. We printed 6 of these in 3 years. We were always printing beer trail passports. And, that wasn't our only thing that we were doing. It's really time consuming. They're expensive because of the way that we design them. We really put the consumer first in the design, and that cost a lot of money. And it was confusing. So back to those passport covers, we printed 6 in 3 years. People were confused. Which one's accurate? Which one should I be using? Can I use them together? Do I send them together? Do I have to start over? It just got very complicated. Our staff was continuously running passports and stickers to our breweries. We were out every 3 weeks, going to 15 to 25 locations, dropping things off. It was just way too much. That was our staff time. It was staff mileage and just the time to even put all these bags together and then try to explain, okay, you need to throw those away and put out these new ones. It was a lot. If a new brewery opened or closed, we had to wait months for the next passport to do any type of update. So it was not very flexible. Another problem with data collection. I got every single passport back and had to decipher handwriting, put it into an Excel sheet, track which stickers came back so that we knew which breweries were getting which check-ins, and then try and email this giant sheet to one of our other staff members for distribution. It was just messy. It was time consuming. It worked. It was fine. But it certainly was not the best. I also had this really awkward box of passports on my desk because I didn't know what to do with them. Can I throw them away? Do I have to keep them? So I had a fancy little basket full of thousands of passports, just not knowing what to do with them. Another problem was our budget allocation. This was the first time that we really focused on just one segment of our partner base. So trying to get funding approved for just specific things like this expensive program, was a little bit difficult. I also went after some grant dollars, and because I didn't know exactly how many people were using the trail, it was really hard to do an economic impact that felt solid. I could say, well, what we tracked as far as economic impact was this, but based on what we distributed, I think it should be this. That just doesn't install a lot of confidence. To give you an example, we distributed 64,000 passports in 3 years, and only 2% came back. Where are all those passports going? They're leaving the shelf. They're not there. Where did they go? So that was always the question I was asking. We had distributed over 100,000 stickers, and 18% came back. Where are these things going? We did find out by going to a couple of different consumer beer trail shows, or beer tasting shows, that people were losing them. They were leaving them in the glove box. They were grabbing another one every time they went out. They forgot it. They lost it. They forgot to get their sticker. Or some of them just said, you know what? I want to keep it as a souvenir. But that one really surprised me. So although the project itself was really successful, it was a little bit painful to manage, and it was a lot of staff time. So we made the switch to Van Wango, to a digital passport, and I wanted to touch on the same pain point since switching to give you an idea of what that looked like for us. So we do still print, but it's a lot less. Instead of these really expensive passports, we're printing rack cards, and we still have them at the location. That freed up budget that we could add things like table tents, posters, clings to also have at the locations. And instead of going out every 3 weeks, we're going out about every 2 to 3 months. So that's really cut back on the amount of time our staff is out of the office, mileage, everything like that. It also gave us a lot more flexibility. We can update partners. So, like I said, unfortunately, we just had one close. We could immediately make that update so that visitors weren't going there and then being disappointed when they found out they were no longer open. It also gave us the opportunity to add a new program, which is our Beverage of the Month promo, where every month one of our beer trail locations has a special where if you buy this drink, you get this promo item free. It might be a koozie, it might be a pint glass, it might be a keychain, just a little something. We could never have done this with a paper passport. It would have never worked. Our breweries right now don't always know exactly what's on tap in 6 months from now when it's their turn. So we needed that digital flexible space to be able to really make that program work. For me, it means no more typing. I no longer have to type in every passport. I will say some of the reporting has a little bit of pain points. They've been doing a lot of updates over at Van Wango, but it is far superior to what I was dealing with before. We also are able to really do a better job of calculating economic impact because I know how many people signed up and I know how many check-ins were made. There's no guessing. There's no fancy math equation to say, well, this is what we think based on this. It is what it is. It is right there. So we were able to utilize the same economic impact calculations, but in a way that's a lot more steadfast. And the thing that is the last bullet here is it allowed us to do more passports. We currently also have an ice cream trail, which is on its second year. We have a fall fun trail that's launching in 2 weeks. And next year, we're going to do a coffee and chocolate trail. If we were still doing paper passports, there's no way we would have been able to add these trails. We're only able to do it based on having a digital passport that'll cut out a lot of the time-consuming work of the printing, running materials, and collecting data. There are a couple of things that I think I wish I would have done a little bit differently. So I wanted to share those. The first is I wish I would have stuck to the vision. When we launched our beer trail, like I said, we did add more locations that were not breweries like restaurants or really good bars. And that caused a lot of issues with our partners because then they wanted to know why they weren't included. And then when we took those locations off the passport, they were pretty upset because they were getting a lot of people coming through their door. So at that time, the beer trails were just starting. They weren't super popular. We didn't know that you didn't have to have a lot to make it worth it. It would have been much better if we would have really concentrated on what we had, and it would have been a lot less painful for the partners that were on it and then came off, or the partners that never got to be part of it. The other thing is set a due date. So we refresh our passport every year. And when it was paper, I talked about how that got very confusing. And with digital, what that means is we have to take the passport down for a couple of weeks so that we can refresh. That caused a whole new set of issues where people were confused. So set a due date. Just do yourself a favor. Even if you don't need it, set a due date. It will make your life a lot easier. Just to give you a little bit of context, our last print run for passports was April 2020. I am still receiving paper passports in the mail to this day. I got one 2 weeks ago. It's not a lot, but they're still coming in, which is insane. Really use the information you have. So we did not start an e-newsletter specific to Beer Trail until we started with the digital passport, and that was a missed opportunity. This is owned first-party data that you have access to. Since I put that Beer Trail together, the e-newsletter, it's consistently had the highest open rate of our newsletters. This is an engaged audience. It's also really great added value for the partners on the trail because I list their new beer releases, events, upcoming, they have something special going on, news, like they open up a patio. It gives them a lot more exposure, and it's really not a whole lot of work to make that happen. And then the last thing is non-redeeming passes. This is something that we just started working on. I realized that we have a list of people that opened or signed up for Passport but never used it. And there's going to be a certain number of those, but there's a couple of things you can do to try and engage them. And we just started doing that. So again, that was just a missed opportunity to try and get them to engage, try to get them to go to a couple of places. I do know I've run into people that said, I only use this list as an idea of where to go. I really don't have any intention of checking in, and that's fine. But even if you can convert 5% of the people that are not converting, your metrics are going to improve so much. And it's not a whole lot of work. Like I said, it's something you can set up as a message that goes out. You can work with your Van Wango rep. It's just something I wish I would have implemented a lot sooner. So that is really all I had for switching from paper to digital. I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Erin.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, one thing I really wanted to emphasize here was the fact that you said that, yes, we switched it over to digital, but we still do use print. And one thing we always say here at Van Wango is that print is not dead. So for these Van Wango passes, we really see success coming from those rack cards, those table tents, everything that's in those businesses, that those customers that are already visiting those businesses, maybe they don't know about the beer trail yet, and they see that QR code, they sign up for it, they're already there. That's one more engagement that you didn't have before. So we don't say print is dead. We love print. This is just another strategy to use for these trails. So I am now going to pass it over to Clint, and Clint is going to go over the Go SoIN Fun Trail, which has been very successful since it launched, and he's going to give you the details of that.
We're on slide 4. Oh, back. Oh, there we go. All right. Thank you, Erin. I hope everyone is doing well today. Like Erin mentioned, my name is Clint Bryant, and I'm going to start off with a few fun facts about me. So I'm the digital marketing manager here at SoIN Tourism. I've been with the Bureau for almost 4 years. I am married to my college sweetheart, Logan. She's in social work. And as you can see here, we rescued a 3-legged cat together. His name is Weasley. We named him Weasley after Ron Weasley, of course. And then I love all sports. I try to play pickleball and golf a couple times a month. I went to Western Kentucky University. You can see our cool mascot, Big Red, there. And I'm a lover of all things Kentucky sports. I'm originally from the Lexington, Kentucky area, which is where UK is, and which is why I'm such a fan. So I'm pretty basic. As you could have potentially guessed, SoIN Tourism stands for Southern Indiana Tourism. We are the tourism bureau right across the Ohio River from Louisville, Kentucky. Think of SoIN as North Louisville. Our office is about 1 mile away from downtown Louisville. We are the only dual county tourism bureau in the state of Indiana. We handle Clark and Floyd counties. The population between the two is about 200,000. And a few fun facts about our area. Clarksville is where Meriwether Lewis and William Clark met up to start the famous Lewis and Clark expedition. We have fossils dating back 390 million years ago. It's the largest exposed Devonian fossil bed in the world. It's called Falls of the Ohio. And then Colonel Sanders, the founder of KFC, was actually born in one of our counties, not in Kentucky. So, and then here's just another slide showing exactly where we are located. We have many metros around us within a couple hours. It's a perfect drive market. We're on the I-65 corridor, which runs basically from Chicago to Mobile, Alabama. And this all brings me to the SoIN Fun Trail. So last year was our first year for the trail. So we just finished up our second year this year. Because it was our first trail, we wanted to keep it pretty general. So it's a general family-friendly trail that any attraction, shop, restaurant, or accommodation in our counties can be a part of. So even if the place isn't the most family-friendly, you know, as long as kids are allowed to go with their parents there, it's okay. Like we have a few bar-type restaurants, you know, on the trail, things like that. We didn't want to have to turn anyone away for our first trail. It's not a niche trail that's just for craft beer or tacos or, you know, outdoor rec or anything like that. We want to keep it as broad as possible. That way, again, everybody can be on the trail and nobody would feel left out. We are a non-membership based organization, so we don't make our partners and stakeholders pay to work with us. So creating this trail, we thought this was a way to get them to engage a little more. This trail runs during the summer months when kids are out of school and family travel is prominent. It runs between the middle of May to the middle of August. We were in talks with Bandwango actually back in 2019, and we almost pulled the trigger in 2020 actually. And then of course, COVID happened, and we decided to launch the Fun Trail in 2021 without Bandwango's platform to see how it would do before investing in them. So it was a paper pass. On this slide, you can see some of our signage plus steps for participating in the trail and prizes for our first year. You know, so this is what the paper pass looked like. It looks super complicated, right? So that's just a little bit about how our trail operates. And then continuing with the first year of the trail, some of our challenges. So one challenge we had with the paper trail were printing costs. It was too expensive for us to print actual nice, neat passport booklets, and we didn't know how many people would participate in the trail, so we didn't want to have to over order. So basically, once someone signed up for the trail on our website, they got a downloadable PDF and they had to print it out themselves. We also had to make and print customized stickers for each business with their name on them. People would take the printed passport to these businesses, and then these businesses were in charge of giving the consumers the stickers. Another challenge was it was hard to track. You know, it was hard to track check-ins to businesses. It was hard to track prizes earned and redeemed. This was hard because businesses would lose their stickers. The people working the front counters weren't briefed on, you know, what the Fun Trail was and what their duties were. We also had multiple prize hubs, and no one tallied appropriately how many prizes they gave out, or they would get confused on what prizes the consumer should get. You know, we had multiple prize tiers. We realized we were becoming a challenge for these small businesses, which was not good. Another challenge was partner outreach and getting partners on board with the trail. We did a lot of manual outreach, making calls, sending emails, in-person meetings. You know, it started to become a challenge explaining to them exactly what this was. And also, you know, we had to build out our online sign-up forms and landing pages from scratch. And lastly, all of this simply took a ton of in-house time, and Bandwango helps with all of this. So moving on to the second year of the trail, this year we decided to go with Bandwango, and we started working with them at the beginning of the year. So printing costs weren't an issue. We didn't have to think about printing a nice passport booklet or stickers because businesses didn't have to pass them out. Consumers checked into locations using their phones. We didn't have to think about the designs of those things as well. We did, however, print some signage with QR codes for storefronts and instructional packets. You don't have to do any of this, but I think it helps, just like Aaron mentioned. Also, very little, if any, training had to be done for the employees at these businesses because they didn't have to hand out stickers or prizes or anything like that. Everything is now trackable, from check-ins to prizes earned and redeemed to how many special offers get used. Bandwango does all of your outreach to partners and stakeholders for you. They get your businesses signed up without you having to do anything, which is super helpful. Just email them the list and they start calling and emailing. We had way more businesses participate this year than last, and I think it's a tip of the cap to Bandwango. Bandwango builds your landing pages. You don't have to do you don't have to do anything other than pass them the assets and then plug it into your website, the code. And lastly, we saved a ton of in-house time. And then some extra added benefits that you get while working with Bandwango is, so points of interest are now feasible. So basically anywhere that doesn't have a manned attraction, it wasn't feasible to have on our pass last year. So, anything like a local park or an art district, or for example, we have a great walking bridge that connects Southern Indiana to Louisville that 1.5 million people cross each year. And we wanted to, it helps us. So now we're able to track and check in those people basically because of the Bandwango platform. Another added benefit were special offers. We allowed partners last year to have special offers on our paper pass, but we got way more this year because when businesses signed up to be a part of the Fun Trail, it prompted them right there on the form to add a special offer. It was right in front of their face, and it was also easier for consumers to redeem those special offers. And then lastly, Bandwango's free automated messaging feature was a great added bonus. You can set up these messages to go to participants on the trail to remind them to check into places or to go redeem their prizes or to use special offers. It's just a great extra. And so moving on to results, I wanted to kind of show you exactly the results that we got from year 1 to year 2. So we increased Fun Trail participants from 785 to 878. We were able to track check-ins to different businesses with points of interest. This number was over 1,700. So now we can now go to our local stakeholders and tell them we got X amount to their businesses or points of interest. Because of this trail, we are now able to track prize redemptions, and this number was 99. So close to 100, I know. Lastly, with the help of Bandwango, we were able to get more businesses to participate. So as you can see here, 53 partners to 104. Ultimately, going from a paper passport to a digital was a success. And we can see that simply after 1 year of being with Bandwango. It went from a logistical nightmare to a streamlined approach. Their customer service is great. Marketing team is great. We now have actual data that we can go to our stakeholders with on this project. It saved our staff time and energy. We had no pain points with staff at our local businesses, no keeping track of stickers. Everything's trackable. We had more participation overall from the local stakeholder standpoint and consumer standpoint. It was well worth the investment. We are now on our second trail. We just launched an outdoors pass that's actually a cooperative pass with other Southern Indiana tourism bureaus in our region, and we're looking forward to seeing how that will turn out. So thank you, and Erin, back to you.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, I think one thing to highlight from both Ashley and Clint was the use of that messaging tool that Bandwango has, and we'll have some more questions here in a second, but very successful passes with Bandwango are always engaging with those people that may not have already redeemed or checked in on a pass. And a great way to do that is through that messaging tool in your Bandwango backend, reaching out to them via email or that in-feed messaging, or for an additional cost, you can send them text messages as well. These are just great reminders for those people that may have signed up, totally forgot about it, and then they get it in their email inbox. They say, oh my gosh, I can go do this on Saturday. What a fun thing to do with the family. Get out there and check into those locations. So that messaging tool, always there for you, really helps with engagement as well. So We are going to hop into some Q&A with Ashley and Clint. Feel free to add in questions to the chat or Q&A. We will be definitely looking in there. But the first thing I wanted to jump into was, what was your organization's goals really surrounding why you created these trails in the first place? So when they were printed passes, what were the goals there?
I guess I can kind of go ahead and start. And I mean, the biggest thing is just that we wanted to do was we wanted to show our value within the community and get people into businesses, right? And as you can see, we couldn't track any of this. We had no clue. Like, yes, we knew how many people signed up for our trail, but we had no clue if they were even going to these businesses. So that was kind of at least the biggest overall thing for us.
For us, we were looking for another experience that we could package and sell. So our area is full of free attractions, which makes it a little bit difficult to understand visitors to the area. So having a product that we could own, package, and sell is free. I say sell as in market, was something that was really important to us so that we could understand who our consumers were, who our visitors were, and where they were going. Something that we have as part of our trails is a survey that we send out. We do incentivize the beer trail survey since it's our biggest trail. Some of the other trails we don't incentivize the survey, but we do send one. And we were able to collect a lot of really interesting and valuable feedback on those surveys. What we found is people use Pennsylvania as a meeting point. We had, my favorite was a set of brothers, one lived in Virginia and one lived in New York, and they wanted to spend time together. So they came and did our beer trail in a weekend, which gave me some hope. A lot of places. In their survey, they said, "Oh, yeah, came from Philly, and wonderful time. And when we were there, we went shopping and stayed in a hotel. We were hiking, and we did all these other things that we're not, as a visitor, we're not able to really track. We don't really know how many people are hiking or how many people are going to shops." So that was valuable to us. It was a very roundabout way to get the information, but having
cutting out a little bit there, but I think at the end you just said that it was really important for you to get that information, which is great. And I was going to touch on also, you mentioned hotel stays. So a lot of our clients are like, our stakeholders want heads in beds. We hear heads in beds all the time. So what we always say is, yes, we want those heads in beds, but people travel not just to go to a hotel. So they need those things to do. And these passes, these trails are great for that. What are they going to do when they get there? They're not just going to sit in their hotel room. What are the options for those things to do in those destinations? So also, for those of you that are listening, I'm sure that you have content on your website that are either itineraries or blog posts that may not have already been in a trail format as the beer trail and the fun trail were before this pass, but you have a list of your Friday night that you should go do, or those favorite restaurants that you should go to that can be easily turned into a pass that you can then track that data. So just keeping in mind that it's not always that the trail is already set up and has that printed pass. Sometimes it is just in that itinerary or blog format that you already have set up. So, all righty. Next, what was the biggest challenge, or what did you hear in terms of concerns for people that maybe weren't interested in signing up for the digital pass? Maybe they didn't want to give their information. Did you have any of those hard conversations with those pass holders?
Us personally, I don't think we really did. We didn't really have that interaction with the people signing up for the pass. We didn't really get any of that feedback. At least our pass did just end, so we may have a survey going out to some of those people at some point, but it literally just ended on August 14th, so not to my knowledge.
Okay, perfect.
We did it a little bit. It was mostly from retired folks that don't use smartphones. Yep. So they were upset that previously they could participate in the pass, and now that they can't. We've tried to come up with some reasonable solutions for that. We have not been successful. But I will say it was a very illuminating conversation because we had a group from a nursing home that was doing the beer trail. They were getting on the nursing home
my gosh. So the group from the nursing home, was it successful? They did their check-ins? Was it?
Yeah, well, that's when it was still paid.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Got it. How fun is that? Well, it would be interesting to see if they would be interested in doing digital. I know my grandparents, when I tell them where I work and what I do, they're like, what are you talking about? They have a hard time wrapping their head around it. But as soon as I get the pass on their phone, they're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. So sometimes it's just that barrier of walking someone through how to sign up for the pass. And then as soon as it's there, the easy button clicks.
And that kind of reminds me, I mean, not really, this isn't really from the consumer side of things, but I know some of our attractions that have been around for so long, and they've been in the family for however many years, and sometimes, you know, some more older people are kind of running that organization, and getting them to sign up to be on the trail. We found that was a challenge, and sometimes, you know, the ones that are maybe less tech savvy, we would have to go over there and kind of help walk them through it. So that's kind of the same answer to the question, kind of on the partner stakeholder side.
Yeah,
we definitely did see that.
No, that's a great point. So did your staff actually take the physical time to go over and help them walk through that process?
A couple of them, yeah.
That's awesome. Perfect. Well, sometimes it does take that hands-on work. Our client outreach team is also fabulous. So if we can get them on the phone, then sometimes they can help that way. Unfortunately, we can't be everywhere, but that outreach team is also here for you whenever you need. So next, I wanted to get into some creative marketing strategies. So I know both of you use some fun marketing strategies for these digital passes. Wanted to hear from you. What has worked? What have you seen changing from those print passes and digital passes? What have you guys done differently?
I don't think our strategy changed too much in terms of the marketing we did from a paper pass to a digital pass. I mean, I don't know, I'm trying to think. I mean, we were still on Facebook and Instagram, running paid ads. Like, you still got to put money behind it. And I guess the biggest thing from a strategy standpoint we did was just invest more. We invested more money into Bandwango. So then in return, well, we want this pass to be successful. We're going to have to invest more money and more dollars into it. So, I mean, you know, we did things on Facebook and Instagram paid. We did YouTube ads. We got a video created, just an in-house video. You know, we were on Google and Bing with search and display ads. We did a lot of earned media. I mean, we got picked up by a lot of, you know, local TV outlets around the Louisville area. But yeah, just different video content, just different single images, and just trying to get the word out. You know,
I would echo what Clint said. You know, regardless of whether it's paper or digital, our marketing strategy didn't change that much. It was more about what is really needed for this product. So, you know, for Beer Trail, we're on Untapped. We're in Harbortize, which is out-of-home wrapped rideshare vehicles, and our target market, specifically near, you know, nightlife. We were able to make that happen. One thing that was better and that we could change is because you now sign up through an online form that would have that goal be the effort of the ad. So basically, we could place digital ads for the result of a site, where before we were looking for landing pages or some type of engagement. So we were able to be a lot more efficient with the digital ads, but the actual is still pretty much.
Perfect.
And one other thing to piggyback on was I was super surprised at how many people used our QR codes that were on our print signage at these businesses. I mean, we had at least, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 people just sign up using those QR codes. And then, you know, again, don't forget to put it in your email newsletters. I mean, those are your most loyal customers, and we got just a ton of signups through there.
Yeah, I'm happy you all are bringing up your marketing strategies, because one thing we sometimes struggle with is really emphasizing that this pass, if you place it on your website, it's not going to be successful on its own. It has to be some marketing backing for these passes to really be successful. So getting those conversions instead of page views is what we really have to focus on with these passes, getting people to really sign up. So what's important in those ads? Call to actions. You really want to make sure you say, sign up now, get yours now, whatever that call to action is, because that's how you're going to see people sign up instead of just land on that page and maybe bounce off. So really emphasis for the audience watching is you do have to do some marketing. Bandwango lifts the load of creating this pass, but when it gets to your site, when we send you those codes, it is now in your hands to get that campaign created and really making sure that it's out in front of those audiences that you know will sign up for this pass and are interested in the campaign that you're running. So for the beer trail, that Carvertise, I know that Carvertise uses you all as a case study all the time because it has been a very successful campaign, and hopefully we'll get a Carvertise webinar running here soon. But getting those cars that are wrapped in front of nightlife, I mean, I can't imagine that being not successful, you know? So that is awesome.
Something else I'll say that surprised me, we use the sponsor spot within the passport for our own messaging. We use it to send users to related content, and I am always impressed of the amount of web traffic coming from our passport, of users who are clicking on that to find things to do. So, you know, for the beer trail, we send them to our leisure campaign that has all of the top things you can do in the area. And for the ice cream trail, we send them to events calendar, so that's more family focused. And then for the fall fun trail that we're launching, we're sending them to a driving tour of scenic locations, foliage. And that one's not launched yet, but I suspect we'll see the same amount of success. I'm always surprised how many people will actually click and spend time on the website, really digging into more content and getting more engaged with what you have to offer.
That's a really great point, Ashley. So if you're not familiar with what she's speaking to with those sponsorship ad placements in the mobile pass on version 2, if you're not signed up for the town halls in a month, you should, because we'll go over the new Bandwango announcements. But how the passes are set up currently, you can add a banner ad at the bottom of those passes that people can then click. It expands into a larger ad, and then they can click off to another link. So on those passes, Ashley uses other content on her site. Some of our other clients, if they have sponsors for those passes, those sponsorship placements can go there. So great way to definitely get that traffic that's already engaged in your destination, engaged in your businesses, off to other content on your site. So really glad that you brought that up. All right. I know we talked a little bit about pain points with print passports, but what would you say the biggest challenge in creating the digital passport was?
For me, it's really timing and lining everything up. So whenever we launch a passport, we always have print materials at all of the locations. So having the print materials ready, distributed, but not hung up before the trail actually launched was the hardest part for me. Really trying to dial in what day can I deliver these, that if someone goes there, they're not going to an empty page, but you know, also not the reverse. We're promoting this trail that has no collateral with it. Just kind of coordinating those two things is a little bit difficult, especially if you have signage for a check number. Some of them you use the 4-digit PIN. So having those, making sure those signs are posted when the show goes live, you know, the location is a little bit of a challenge, but we've been able to make it work.
I mean, outside of, you know, trying to figure out what type of trail to create, I would say, I think just getting, and again, Bandwango does a great job with getting partners signed on, but just some of those not super tech savvy partners and just, you know, they've seen the emails, they've gotten the calls, they say they're going to do it, and they don't, you know, sign up to be a part of the trail. I think was one of the biggest things. And again, you know, just having to go help the people sign up who aren't the most tech savvy with it. So,
yeah, absolutely. That we definitely see that being difficult on all ends at times. So, perfect, Heather. Are the banner ads included in all passes? Yes, they are. So, if you are curious about those sponsorship ad placements, we have a deck that we can send you. So reach out to your client success specialist and we can get you that deck so you can see sizes and everything for that.
I'll definitely be looking into those in year 2.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Perfect. So when we are doing these passes again, because I know you all are always building new passes, but what would you do differently for these campaigns and why?
I think that every year we just find something that we can add or make go a little bit smoother. So I think we've worked through the big changes of, okay, we're never doing that again. Like not having an expiration date, never not doing that again. But for the big ones, because we have been doing this for a little bit, but I will say that every pass we put out, we definitely find ways to improve it, to make it smoother, to maybe get a little bit more with our passport, have better messaging. I think for me, it's more of a list, like having a list of, okay, anytime we have a new passport, these are the things that need to happen. These are the things we need to think about. These were the best practices from what we've learned or what we've implemented, and really being mindful of all of those things.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we're definitely going to keep doing the fun trail. And I think for us, it's just continuing to get creative with messaging and just, creative with your marketing overall. I mean, it's kind of, we created the trail on our own and did the whole paper pass last year. And then, basically exactly what we did last year, we did this year, but with Bandwango, and we put some more dollars behind it, right? So I think we need to, like I said, our trail just ended 10 days ago. So we need to kind of do a deeper dive and figure out what exactly needs to be done differently next year for the fun trail. And, we just got this second trail up that's a cooperative with other DMOs. And I'm not as involved with that one, but I do know that we're thinking about a third one that's going to be more culinary focused. And it may not be just a go to these businesses, dine, and you get a sticker or you get, a check-in, whatever it may be. So we're going to try to think of different ways of how to do these trails as well. So,
yeah, absolutely. And a different way to do these trails. We always push paid passes as well for our clients. So definitely is a new space for a lot of our DMO clients because they're like, we're not in the e-commerce space. We don't know how to sell anything. We're here every step of the way for that. A lot of feedback we also get is like, we're a government entity. Like we can't have profit. We're a not-for-profit company. We have some workarounds for that as well. Bandwango is, you won't touch your money if you don't need to. And we have some ways that you can either put that into a fund, or maybe you want to turn that into marketing spend or something like that. So paid passes, always an option. Definitely recommend doing some of those as well if you're interested. But what would you guys say is the most helpful tool you have access to as a Bandwango client with the digital passes? And you can't say messaging because we already went through that.
I mean, I would say the reporting, just learning where these people are coming from, because you can gather zip codes. Just seeing where they're going on the trail and simply just where they're coming from. I mean, you can see all of that in the back end of Bandwango, which, when you're paperless, there's no way. There's just no way to be able to do that. So
I would echo that. Definitely reporting. What would take me hours to compile, I can do in a couple minutes now. And that is really valuable information.
Yeah, awesome. And I know Ashley and a lot of our other clients have had some issues with reporting in the past few months. We recently switched over to a new reporting system. So I wanted to thank everyone for being patient with us through that. And if you ever run into reporting issues, please feel free to reach out to your client success specialist and they can help rein it in and make sure that we have all of those. But going off of that, what report did you guys find most useful with these digital passes? I know, Clint, you said zip codes is really helpful, but is that what you looked at the most?
Yeah, and another thing for us is we are a dual county tourism bureau. So one county doesn't always play well with other counties, and we've got multiple different, municipalities. So figuring out, I mean, for example, we had a board meeting last week and we presented some numbers to them. So you've got the people, the three main towns that we have is New Albany, Clarksville, and Jeffersonville. Well, we said that Jeffersonville got, the most check-ins. So everybody else was like, well, how many check-ins did we have in New Albany, or how many check-ins did we have in Clarksville? So, so on top of that is, figuring out where the heck they were going, and into which cities, into which attractions, which restaurants, whatever it may be. So that was also very important to us.
Perfect.
For us, it was pass signups because, like I had mentioned before, we knew how many passports we put into, we'll call it the wild, how many went out to the wild, and only 2% came back. So there was a lot of questions, well, where did they go? I mean, they got picked up, they left the brewery, but where did they go? So for us being able to say with some point of certainty, there were this many signups, is something we couldn't do before. Our signups year over year, from the first year, the last year we did print, the first year we did Van Winkle, went up 43%. So that was 43% of our data we weren't collecting, we were able to collect. And that's a huge percentage. So really, not even just the passport, the actual check-ins, having those two numbers and what they actually were, not just what came back, was fantastic.
That's awesome. Sarah asked a great question here. So were any perimeters or requirements created for businesses to provide more enticing offers for your visitors, or were you all more focused on those check-ins?
I would say we were probably more focused on check-ins. I mean, I don't want to speak for the whole team, but yeah, I mean, we definitely wanted as many special offers as possible, but we weren't going to, start nagging people to give us special offers. And it's work for them too, to have to try to create something, just kind of off the top, out of the blue. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we definitely were going for check-ins. In general, we found that a lot of our businesses and partners aren't that interested in providing offers. That's just not their business model. So we give them the opportunity if they like to, but we don't push it. Other than that beverage of the month program that I talked about, we do load that at the coupon. But that's just something they probably already have on hand, or I know some of the breweries did order special items. But these were breweries that would have done that anyway. They're not going way out of the comfort zone. They're maybe trying something a little different. But we don't put a lot of pressure on them to do that. For us, it's more important to get people to their door and that their product speaks for itself. And
I think you both make great points there. And just for some background on benchmarking stuff that we see from our end is that with gamified check-in challenges, we see a lot of those engagements being check-ins instead of those discount redemptions. So if the goal here is to get people into local businesses, we don't typically see that those redemptions are really like the enticing factor of why they're visiting that business. It's the overall prize. It's getting to say that you finished the trail instead of those offers. Now, if you have a savings pass, that's a completely different story because that redemption is really what's pushing people to go to those local businesses. And in that case, I would say creating a standard for these businesses so they don't have to create that on their own. So giving them it's required for you to either say buy one, get one, a BOGO offer, or 15% off of a certain item. Those are better than having them create something on their own, because in their brains, they're going to be like, okay, 10% off of this specific entree. And then people are going to be like, well, I don't want that entree anyways. So giving them some guidelines there is helpful. So
I will say too, the partners that do provide coupons or incentives, I definitely see them get checked in ads.
Awesome.
They tend to be the partners maybe not as concentrated as to a downtown, or maybe they don't have as much foot traffic, but ones that do definitely get check-ins when compared to maybe a partner that doesn't provide it and is kind of in a similar situation or location. So I think the ones that do get rewarded for that,
Awesome. And then do you have any incentives for your partners so they help you promote the pass to the visitors at the locations?
I wouldn't say it's an incentive, but we require that if they're on the pass, that they have to have the rack cards, posters, everything that we're printing at the location. Through the surveys, we found a pretty high percentage of people found our trails at the location. They were already there. They saw something that caught their eye and they signed up whether. We just make it part of the requirement of participating that they have to have materials.
Yeah, we don't really. You know, we give them signage. We give them the packets of, you know, what this is and, you know, how they can make the most of it, you know. But yeah, we don't require anything.
Yeah. And to that point, I think we have clients that have a really difficult time having their businesses really help promote these passes. And in those cases, sometimes what can help is offering up, I've seen like sponsorship placements on newsletters be offered up as an incentive for them to promote this pass. Or maybe you have a photo shoot coming up, a community photo shoot, having that taken at their business. Those are some things that's not money out of pocket for you all necessarily, for the organizations, but something that you can offer to get them enticed to promote those passes. So definitely have seen this come up before in conversations. So I don't want you to think that you're the only one that's not seen these businesses really promote these passes, but also launching the pass, seeing it really take off, these businesses will then become more enticed to be like, oh, we've seen 15 people this weekend come in with these passes. Maybe we should promote these because then we'll see more people come in and check in. So sometimes it does take a month or two after launch to really get these businesses on board with the passes. But kind of going off of that, what were the businesses' reactions to your passes going digital? So I know some of them had a hard time signing up for the pass, but was there any pushback of like, oh, we don't want to take part if it's digital instead of print?
Yeah, I wouldn't say any pushback. And I think I would, if I had to put a number to it, I would say 90% of our businesses were excited to go digital, mainly because that was less work for them.
Yep.
But you did have a few businesses that did reach out to us. I think it was only a handful, but they were, you know, they wanted that personal connection with them. And we didn't, the way our pass was set up was they didn't have to go to anybody at the front counter and check in, right? And I think there's a way that we can do that with Go. And we didn't set it up that way. And some of them realized, oh, these people could just be walking in, checking in, and leaving. And it's like, well, yes, unfortunately, that is a possibility. But it makes it easier on you all, and it makes it easier on us. So, you know, at least you're getting some sort of, if they're not going in there and they're staying that long, at least you're kind of getting some sort of marketing to it. Of these people may have never even realized that you were a business in downtown or wherever they may be. Next thing you know, they stop in and they're like, they might think, you know, it's a nice establishment, whatever it may be. So 90% were happy when digital, and the other handful, you know, weren't too thrilled. But I think they still saw a benefit in it, though.
Perfect.
We didn't really have a lot of pushback. Most of our trails are pin-based instead of geolocation-based. So we provided them with signs with their pin numbers on it, but we left it up to them where we posted them. So I know we have a couple of locations that is looking for that interaction, so they don't post a sign. You have to ask the bartender. And then we have some locations that historically were not at training their servers or bartenders to be familiar with the trail, or, you know, just had so many people working there that, you know, come up through the cracks that they posted it. So, you know, it was better for them. They didn't have to put stickers and do that thing. And worry about that. So we kind of saw both, but for the most part, I think everyone's fine.
Awesome. Yeah. And to those points, so Clint was probably just redemption based. You could just check in when you were there. Ashley's, as she mentioned, that was a pin based. So you have to enter a pin to check in. I think that's a great point, that you can let that be up to the business with how they get that pin. So some businesses, they really want to have that interaction. Some businesses understand that exposure is great, and getting someone maybe even just to their door, that's exposure, and that's one person that may have not been to their door before. So definitely sometimes a learning curve there, and depending on the business, it's a great way to make that an option. I will definitely be using that as an example now, because we do have some people that are like, well, what if they run into someone that doesn't have the PIN code? Then getting that collateral out and about, that business can just have it on the table. So definitely a few different options there. And then my last question, I know we talked about this a little bit, but new passes in the works. So Ashley, you have your chocolate, is that right? The chocolate trail coming up?
Yeah, we're going to do a coffee and chocolate trail that will be in Q1 of 2023.
Awesome.
So that's a little bit off in the distance, but we are launching a fall fun trail on September 6th that will be focused on some of our really beautiful outdoor scenery for hiking, biking, safe driving, and pairing that with our farm fun attractions. So
Awesome.
you pick pumpkins, sunflowers, scarecrow making, hay rides, all of those really nice fall cozy activities.
Awesome. Perfect. And then Clint, this outdoor trail and then other passes that you're thinking about?
Yeah, so we recently just launched the outdoor trail. I don't know the official name of it. Again, I'm not in this project too often, but I know we're kind of the umbrella, I guess, for the rest of the DMOs that are involved with this. So so I think there's 10 other DMOs involved in the outdoor trail, and basically we're working with other DMOs to where everybody can include 3 to 5 different attractions, outdoor attractions to the trail. So it's kind of, it's just a cooperative thing we're doing. So it's, you try to get somebody into this county, then into this county. And I think it's set up to where they have to visit at least like one attraction in all of those counties or something like that. To be able to. Southern Indiana Outdoor Adventure Passport. Just message me. So I think they have to go to a select amount of counties to get this tier prize, and then X amount of counties and attractions to get to this next one. So it's a little bit different. So we'll see how that one turns out. And then, we actually have a meeting tomorrow to go over the next trail. So, so we'll see what comes out of it. I think it'll be something involved with food. So we'll see.
Awesome. Well, we are excited for those. So for everyone that has joined, thank you guys so much for participating. And for September, we won't be having a webinar, but for those current clients that are joining, we do have town halls. So be on the lookout. If you haven't signed up for one of those town halls, it is with Mo, our CEO, and we'll be going over the newest and greatest. Actually, one last question really quick before we wrap it up. Would you recommend rolling out passes gradually to keep things fresh or all at once? So this is a great question. It does take about, I think the timeline, oh my gosh, our ops team would kill me if I said this wrong, but I think it is around 60 days to build a free pass and 90 days to build a paid pass. So unless you keep it in your corner and don't launch it officially, it's a little bit more difficult to launch a bunch of passes at once. So typically our clients are known to launch those gradually. Also keeps things interesting, the new pass comes out, you can always recommend them to go to the old pass. So on that fall pass, I'm sure Ashley will do some cross marketing and say, make sure you check out our beer trail as well. People that have signed up for a Van Wango pass, they're familiar, they'll sign up for those other ones. So I would say that gradual is more common, but this recording will be sent to your emails. So definitely be on the lookout for that as well. And thank you all so much for joining, especially Ashley and Clint. Thank you so much for your time. So we'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.